Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Welcome to Vibe25 podcast. And today is kind of like rainy, gloomy, but I had such a great night at class last night. So shout out to all my dancers who came out and danced all the drums, and the energy was so high. So I'm still high off of that energy. Today is actually episode 6. Can you believe that? Episode 6. Whoa, we spoke about men in dance, pivoting in dance, pursuing what you love, the traveling dancer, the injured dancer. But today our topic is dance, more than just a show. And I'm so happy to have with me today Christopher Lee. Woo! Thank you so much. And Christopher is a tourism and cross-cultural communication consultant. So, Chris, you were in my class.
Yeah, it was really good. I'm really bummed I missed the one yesterday.
Yeah, so I was so happy to be able to use your talent outside of dance because you're a dancer. You said you're like a past dancer. No, you're still a dancer. But when I saw that you are in tourism, I said, "Whoa, this is such a great way for me to like pull your brain and get all the information." And show the world what you have inside your mind. And I chose this topic today because I used to dance in the hotel sector, and I loved it. I love hopping from one hotel to the next and communicating with the tourists and the guests, and being able to show my culture through dance. But you know, you would do the landship and the same dances for the past 15 years, and I felt like, wow, where's the change? There's no change. How are we showing that Barbados and our culture has evolved in so many different ways through dance and just our culture in the whole? So I said, you know what? I'm going to reach out to Chris because he is, a tourism consultant, and I really wanted to see how we can twist or manipulate or show that dance is not only just a commodity. It's not something that you can just put in a bag, a Stoke Walker, a Mother Sally, a Shaggy Beer, Love Dancers, and say this is what Barbados is, or this is what dancers are, and give it to the world, or post it to the world and say that what it is. And so I'm so happy that we had a conversation prior to this, and we were all so passionate about it that it evolved in so many different ways. And through this conversation, the first conversation, Chris would have told me, I have a few friends that would, love to put a little twist to it. And so we have Valencia James, who is a performing artist and a dance technology researcher. So, I mean, wow.
She's awesome.
That's so awesome. Like, have you ever heard about a dance technology researcher? That's crazy. So Valencia have traveled all around the world. She was in Hungary. She's in Cuba.
She's in the UK. And now she's in San Francisco.
Wow.
So she's really had such a very
diverse
experience.
Yes. So we're going to have her a little later on. But right now, Chris, you can give me even more background on who you are, your dance background first. I need to hear how you started dancing.
I guess this is the kind of the foundation under which we're starting these conversations.
Yes.
Right?
I need some little background about dance and why you chose dance as a male dancer, because men in dance is something taboo still in Barbados. And you can go on to tell me why you chose tourism consultancy.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, of course. So my relationship with dance really started just by accident. So I was in Canada, and they were really looking for more male dancers. So they gave out free classes, and I was based in Stony Creek, which is a really small town, really close to Hamilton. So probably about an hour and a half outside of Toronto. So I started doing the modern and a bit of I never did modern, ballet, improv, that type of thing. So over time, because I was always though in the creative industry, I used to act, I used to sing. So it was something that I said, okay, this is a new way to kind of utilize my body.
What age were you around that time?
I was about, if I left, I probably was about 12. I was about 12 years old.
Wow, in Canada?
Yeah, in Canada.
Okay.
And I think my mom also saw it as a great way for me to get fit, because from 6 to 11, I was a bit chubby. Still a little bit chubby around the waistline. But, you know, it was a great way to, you know, stay fit. It was great for just overall expression, and another way that I can just utilize my creative talent. So I got into that, and then kind of fast-tracked that into coming to Barbados. I got a scholarship with the Barbados National Dance Theatre. And there is when I really started to explore not just the normal traditional forms of like ballet, modern, and like tap and so forth, but it was more like African, Afro-Caribbean, Caribbean folk.
Yes.
And it was amazing on one hand where I was able to explore these areas, but on the other hand, I think I definitely went through a very a teething period whereby people kind of saw me and said, because maybe I'm Asian, so my family's background is predominantly Chinese, so they said, well, who's this Chinese boy? And he's trying to do this Afro-Caribbean dance and Caribbean folk, but I was so into it, and we had to perform. So I did things at EBCCI, I've done things at Frank Cullimore Hall, and it's been great trying to break that barrier of being someone that's saying, you know, any dances for everyone and all types of dances for everyone.
Yes.
So I was able to explore another culture, another element, and also see that segue difference between the traditional West African movements, which is what we were taught, versus the Caribbean folk.
Yes.
And then I guess that lends itself to my industry, which now comes to tourism, where I worked in over 10 years in the hospitality and tourism management industry. But I think going back to our topic about looking at tourism and dance as just more than just a show or more than just a commodity, it helped me to really understand that a lot of it is an expression of culture and cultural identity. And I think that whenever a guest would come to me at the hotel, for example, there were so many different assumptions they would have of me and I would have of them. So they saw me and they said, oh, you must be a general manager. They must have imported you in. What? How do you really know about Barbadian culture? But they weren't trying to be mean about it. It's just that Barbados isn't known as a country necessarily that has a lot of Asians. And I think a lot of people who don't know much about the Caribbean, they mainly know sea, sand, and sun.
Yes, so and you do have Trinidadian background. Right,
so I have, like, my dad's Jamaican mixed with black and white and Chinese. My mom's Trini, you know, I was born in Canada. So, and not every guest I came across really understood the diversity that exists in the Caribbean and now more so in Barbados. So it became really a platform and an opportunity to have that discussion with people, to enlighten them and to show them, hey, wow, okay, they have all these different aspects and elements of Caribbean and Barbadian culture.
So also you and yourself have some sort of cultural identity, because you have so many different things, melting pot of things coming together, that you yourself, have you had some type of cultural mix up in your mind, like what you are, who you are, based on the fact that, you know, you look Asian, but you have no problem doing Afro-Caribbean dance. Have you had any, like, you know, conflict in your mind about that?
For sure. I think the biggest conflict really came when I came to Barbados. When I was in Jamaica, it's more diverse ethnically. So, and the general identity in Jamaica is we're Jamaican. So when people say, oh, what are you? Then they'll be like, oh, you're Chinese, you're black, you're this. Even though, yes, that did exist, but that wasn't an issue for me. I just saw myself as Jamaican, and that was that. But then coming to Barbados, because Barbados's history is predominantly black and white, I was being asked to identify as someone who's white or someone who's black. And I knew I was neither. So I think dance really helped to be a really good conduit for me to be able to see that it's culture and identity can be so fluid, and that I can I can move around figuratively and literally into these different spaces, and I can identify and take different pieces and connect with different aspects of it.
That's so good.
I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. I find that your words are perfect. So let's talk about cultural identity. In the tourism market in Barbados, I find as though you see, Jamaica is like one love, roots, rock, reggae. Trinidadian is like the, parang
and
carnival, soca. And when we had our conversation, we were asking ourselves, well, what is Barbadian culture? What is our cultural identity? And we can go all the way back to slave times and the plantocracy, and realize that this country is based so much on the fusion of Afrocentric and Eurocentric cultures coming together. So I was saying, we have to accept the fact that we can be chameleons. We can just adapt to different places. Like, anywhere you go, you can see a Bajan.
Bajan, you hear that all the time.
Anywhere you go, you're going to see a Bajan. So it's just so amazing to see that as dancers, we can go into different spaces and do a modern. Like in my choreography last night, I had Afro-Caribbean, but I mixed up a little leg, a little modern, and then went back into the Afro.
It was hot.
So you could do so much as a unit, as a culture in Barbados, and even our landship technique is a fusion of ballet, which you have like very straight back, and then you do the wangalo, which is like very African. So I find that we have such a very unique culture that we now can identify. I think we should be able to identify it and then, give it to other persons.
I think, and again, this is kind of referencing our conversation that we had with Valencia, which will come into the one today, is that it's a matter of understanding that because it's fluid, our culture is constantly evolving. And so we have that past where we have the West African and the influences there, but we also have the British. But then as Barbados is changing and we have more people coming, then that's going to start to influence the way we move, the way we behave, the way we interact. When it comes to talking about that old time saying about you can find a Bajan everywhere, I think you're 100% right. I think Barbadians are very versed at assimilating into other people's culture. But I think one of the things that you had brought up to us is how do we now try to maybe represent that our culture now and showcase it a little bit more, so that the way there's a bit more of a balance. So it's not just that we're assimilating and we just pick up their habits, but then they start to learn and benefit from some of the habits and traditions that we have, because there's a lot of value in that as well.
Yes.
There's something like when I was in, if it's one thing I remember about being from the Caribbean, which I'm so proud of, is the sense of community, the sense of, really trying to come together and helping each other out, the sense of just joy and just enjoying life and the different things life has to offer. And I think that we need to understand that is a value in itself.
Yes.
Which is partially why, going back to the whole concept of tourism, when a lot of people come to the Caribbean islands,
they want to see our culture.
They want an authentic experience.
Yes.
They want to relax. And when I say relax, they don't mean to someone says relax. It's just being around us
free
lends itself to being like, okay, you know what?
Yes.
There's the beautiful sky, there's the water, just just chill out, just keep it easy. And it's a soft skill and a soft type of influence that we don't even realize that we have.
Yeah, even our accent, sometimes even we know they hear the taxi guys put on this accent, taxi. They
you
just
want a taxi?
Yeah, they just no, just give me your Bajan accent.
Right.
I say we got a taxi for you right now. But going back to being in the hotel industry and dancing, I feel as though we can now evolve. We can switch our culture in a way that how Valencia has something called AI, which is artificial
dance and AI, using artificial intelligence and dance together.
Right, which is like technology. I feel as though we can use social media technology to market Barbados in a way that is unique and different, but still authentic to our culture. So, yeah.
I think it's just a matter of embracing it. And I think that's just in general in the Caribbean. We're so used to the offline space and the face-to-face. And that's a lot of other cultures too, because I'm based in China for the last 4 years. And a lot of those interactions, they prefer this physical face-to-face interaction. But I think what's beautiful is that there are a lot of tools that are being developed within technological tools that help us to still get as realistic as is possible an experience of what that music may sound like or make you feel like. It will never replace, in my opinion, an offline space, the physical feeling.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
They definitely can, and then Valencia will tell you more about it. It will definitely help to create a better depiction on a movement, or you can talk about the thought process, and then by extension, just the visual in itself. That I think it helps really a lot. And so I hope that a lot of creative persons that are listening to this podcast right now will say, realize that, utilize it, help it to amplify and enhance what skills you have, and also to reach a broader audience. Because with offline, the challenge is geographic space, but with online, you can have anyone from as far as Antarctica, then all of a sudden being like, whoa, what is this like fusion? Like, for example, your dance with like Afro-Caribbean and with different other types of modern movements.
Yes, perfect. I love it. Okay, so do you have anything that you would like to, I don't know how your sector works in tourism industry, but if you had a chance to, say, have conversations with world leaders, what is one thing that you would want to implement in the system, in our cultural system, that we can promote Barbados in a different way? Well, our dance culture in a different way. Actually, not even dance, the cultural industries. It could be music, dance, art, anything. What's one thing that you think we can do or change or add or implement in the system?
I think there needs to be more discussion and training on exactly what I'm doing, cross-cultural communication and engagement. And when I say that, it sounds very airy-fairy, and I think a lot of people just see it as, oh, well, I travel the world, or I have friends from different places, so I'm very in tune to cross-culture. But cross-culture really goes a lot deeper than that. And it's about understanding, first, step one, to acknowledge that there are different cultures and cultural contexts. So when you're dealing with somebody from a different background, even within the Caribbean, whether someone's from Jamaica or Barbados or Trinidad, that there are just certain historical and cultural nuances that are there that help you, by being aware of them, it helps you to learn how to engage and relate to that person a bit more. Or even if we're thinking along racial lines, like someone who maybe is Black Caribbean versus African American, that's so different.
Yeah, it's
right?
true.
So the first step is understanding. The second step is having these type of tools and workshops that really focus towards helping to build that soft skill of how to then understand and utilize it to help build the relationship process. So it's not just me looking at you, Megan, and say, okay, Megan is a Black Barbadian who's a dancer. It's about saying, okay, well, what are her cultural contexts, and how can that creative side as being a dancer, being somebody who also embraces technology and helps to add value to that relationship, whether it be in business or just generally in the international relations scope. Right now, I think the best point of reference we're looking at right now is how China is really trying to engage with many different countries around the world, especially in the case of, let's say, the Caribbean or in the US. And China is very one when it comes to culture and dance and so forth, that they're very big on utilizing culture.
Because I think we have something called the Fish and Dragon Festival here,
right,
where we do like a culture exchange.
Exactly.
I think they would come here and do like a
performance,
authentic Chinese traditional dance, and then we would do our traditional dance. So, exactly. And I think a few Barbadians have gone to China as well.
We have a lot. We have a few Trinidadians that go every year as a part of a scholarship that go to the Beijing National Dance Academy, and when they come out of it, they get to showcase Caribbean dance. And so there's a huge demographic of persons that would never have seen it before. And yes, it's a traditional stance, but it's because that relationship's still at the very beginning. So we're still at the element of just general sensitization, saying, hey, there's this other culture out there. These are different elements of this culture. But the more and more that they get used to it, and the more we have these people-to-people exchanges and these conversations, the more you start to go a little deeper and say, okay, but what more is it to it? Because as we're saying, in line with this whole topic, it's more than just something to put on the stage. It's more than just a show. It's a tool that you use for understanding and building relationships. Lovely. That's kind of where my whole thing comes from.
Yes, I love more than just a show. For me to answer the question I asked you, if I were to have the opportunity to be amongst world leaders, I would say the only thing to grasp or keep in authenticity of our culture is to teach the kids, like to get into the schools, to get into a learning space where our culture is fused down to the bottom. So you have a case where I find that kids are really good at technology, or like the TikTok and all that thing going on. Sure. But if they can find a way to understand who they are, where they come from, and their culture, and when I use dance in this case, like understand, nothing is wrong with doing African dance. African dance can be cool. Folk dance can be cool as much as hip hop dance. And I think that when you keep that if in your blood and who you are, if you want to fuse Barbadian culture and export it into somewhere else, it would be cooler, easier.
Well, I think that's when you're thinking of, you said world leaders. So when you're looking at world leaders or leaders in general of a country, you're much linking it to their responsibility for building those policies.
It's true.
You see, and so the same way that we desperately need, in my opinion, a language policy in Barbados that helps to encourage people to learn languages as an immediate part of their
like Mandarin and stuff like that.
Mandarin, French, Spanish, Dutch. The same thing with culture. I think it's a matter of translating or evolving. We keep using the word, how do we evolve? So evolving maybe the normal history lesson, which we would have previously done about
Christopher Columbus.
and say, okay, well, we have a way more dynamic and diverse history than that.
Even
so how do we
more
do
exciting, you know.
So that needs to be written into policy and into syllabuses and programs. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what we're saying about.
For sure. Okay, I think we can go to a break right now, and Valencia will come on. We're gonna get our headphones and give her a call.
Hello, Valencia. Can you hear us? V?
Hi.
Hi.
She sounds like an
Hi,
angel.
Chris. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we are ready to roll. So
We're recording right now.
So we'd just like to officially
Okay.
welcome you. Yeah, good. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for jumping on the call with us. As you know, we're doing a talk on dance more than a show, and we would love to just kind of get your input. But just to start with, we were just talking about how dance is something that shouldn't be just seen as just a commodity, and that when it comes to culture and even just showcasing that culture to the world and embracing that it's something that's constantly evolving, and for something that we need to have a bit more, just recognize that it has that ability to have that international presence outside and something that is of value. So, having you on and knowing myself, we've been friends for a very long time, and knowing that you've traveled all over the world and been able to have that cross-cultural exchange. Can you talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on the whole theme of dance being more than just a commodity?
Yeah, sure. I can weigh in on how I feel dance impacts my life, and for me, it's just very necessary as water to my psyche and just my passion and my way of expression. For me, dance is something that is a medium that I can really unpack a lot of very deep emotions and questions. It's how I think I can actually probably word it like I think by dancing. My moving body is the way that I can really understand complex concepts and break them down, and even come to new ideas and new concepts. It's not only it doesn't only stop with the movement, but I can really connect ideas and form new concepts through interrogating my moving body.
Wow.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes so much sense.
Good.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
And your new concept is now AI, using artificial intelligence and dance.
Well, that's one of the subject areas that I approached through dancing. My initial question was, how will artificial intelligence impact performing arts in the future? We see how it's impacted hotel industries, for example, with Airbnb and kind of automated way of presenting other alternate forms of accommodation, or even like self-driving cars, and what's going to happen with the future of just taxis and just transportation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen with performing arts, where it's very much based on our physical bodies and presence? Could a computer even replace that, or what would it look like? And so I delve into it with the first question of, well, could I ever teach a computer to dance? Is that something?
Wow,
This is something seen as very
that's
human.
a crazy question.
Right. It felt like crazy, but we were like, oh, let's see, can we do it?
investigate.
So yeah. So, and this was 2013 in Hungary. We got this research grant with my husband, Botan Bognar, and then we found some amazing creative technologists, Gabor Pap Gaspar Haidu, and then Alex Behrman. He's a Swedish technologist who works with machine learning, which is a part of artificial intelligence. And so together we came up with this first prototype where first we figured out how to digitize dance. So how do you make dance something like a computer can?
It sounds like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. So if you can just let us, can you still hear us? Wow.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? I think
breaking up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, it's coming back now. So go ahead. So you got the grant, and so you were working on with these particular set of persons that deal with machine learning. But I think one thing that was really interesting for me was when I got to see kind of a demo display of how you had the sugar mill.
The windmill.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was interesting to me because it was your way of also showcasing your culture but in a very new age, modern way. Yes. So it kind of ties in really well to what we're talking about, embracing technology, but still also paying homage to our roots and our heritage. So can you talk a little bit more about that decision?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so that's coming from directly from this other project where I was working with an avatar and improvising this avatar that was like in this virtual environment, and I always felt like how can I bridge the physical and digital divide? So that's where I got this idea through the pandemic has closed theaters, and I'm in the US, so everything is still shut down. How can we have still live performance and capture that even in our living space? So that's where I started investigating, and there's this project that we started with some technologists here, Sorb Louis and Globox, called Volumetric Performance Toolbox, which is what Chris got to see the other day, where I danced in a virtual environment and in an online immersive space, which is called Mozilla Hubs, which is a social virtual reality platform. And I thought, okay, well, if you can have performance online, well, you can dance in any virtual environment that you want. And so I was very much thinking about my connection with my ancestors. Wow. And then I found that this ruin, this photogrammetry, a kind of scan of the Annenberg sugar mill in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Okay. And it's very similar to the sugar mill ruins that you see in Barbados. So I was like, okay, let's get that into the virtual reality platform, and then they're able to scan my body, and I could basically dance inside this virtual
sugar mill.
Sugar mill. Yeah.
So amazing.
So we're looking at how to have performance so the performer can be seen as they are in their like full physical form in a virtual environment. Because right now, like when you see like video games, you see avatars. Yeah. So you don't see the actual person. Mm-hmm. But we were researching to find a way how to like basically have like a live video feed of me, and put that into a virtual environment.
Wow, that really that sounds amazing, and we really look forward to seeing more of that type of work. Because definitely for me, I think it was a great combination of just, again, heritage and expression of culture and dance, and then tying it with embracing kind of the digital and technological tools. But something else also, like in line with what we're talking about in terms of that cross-culture communication, exchange, and identity. I know that going to Hungary and being a black dancer in there was something of you were seen as something that's very exotic or something very unique, but then you also face some challenges. Can you talk us through a little bit about how you navigated through that space and maybe some of the experiences that you had?
Yes. So, I mean, it was really a blessing to travel and live in a place like Hungary. And so I had like exposure to so much there. At the same time, like you said, like I was the only Black female in the dance and theater world there. And so what I found was that even though I was getting really great opportunities like a lead role, dancing on the biggest stages and interacting with, very senior performers, I found the role was very much rooted in.
I think we have you broken up again. Can you hear us? So while we're trying to get
Performing arts, things like hypersexualization. Yeah, I can hear you still.
Okay,
I'm sorry about this. Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, you're good.
I'm just gonna. Yeah, so I found like a lot of the roles I was getting very much rooted in stereotypes of Black female performers, like this hypersexualization of the Black female, or just kind of seeing me as a kind of almost animal, like an animal-like way.
Mm-hmm.
And so after a while, I just realized, like, okay, I need to step away from this, and instead of relying on a choreographer to tell me what to do, I need to find my own voice. And so people, because, they have not, in Hungary, there hasn't been too much actual interaction with Black people. And so what you find is that they rely on a lot of what they see in the media or in books. And even though they didn't have a history of culture. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Keep going. Yeah, you're good.
You can still hear me? Oh.
Yeah, that's great.
Could you understand what I was saying?
Yeah, slightly.
Yeah, I think the part that resonated most with me is what we had talked about. It's about us being able to find our own voice, and our own voice within a foreign space or foreign country, and understanding how to take the different influences that are around us and appreciate them, but still also being able to fully give that representation of who we are as well, and seeing that fusion come together, instead of just, because what Megan was saying before, and as well as how we can say Barbadians can easily assimilate into so many different societies, but it's not good enough necessarily to just assimilate and take on their reality and their culture alone. There's also value added in us being able to show where we come from and our different traditions and our culture as well. And I think that's a part of what I understand you did. I mean, even I remember us talking once, and you're talking about when you had like an Afro-Caribbean dance class, and that's such a great thing as well. Yeah. And your dance vocabulary is so varied, because even though it's Afro-Caribbean, because you did study dance as well in Cuba, you had a completely evolved style as well. So it wasn't just Barbadian, it wasn't just Cuban, it was a very big mixture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Valencia, it was around that time though that I was breaking away from, that dance company, and my own voice was right when I was doing the class. That was like a vehicle for me to find my unique expression.
Awesome. So I'd ask you the same question as well as I asked Chris. If you had the opportunity to be with world leaders, make decisions about our culture industry here in Barbados in relation to what you're experiencing over there in San Francisco, what is one thing you would do? Like, what is
or say
or try to contribute to?
So if I have something to ask the leaders of the cultural industry in Barbados to do, or what is needed?
Yeah. In regards to dance not only being a commodity or just not being a show, but something that we can be more authentic.
Yeah. Very important. So infrastructure for year-long the creation of dance is there. We need to have some kind of a program that would go and give funding creatives to work around.
I think Chris
because
said the same thing. Chris said the same
thing. It's too much of a seasonal kind of approach. So
our crop over
until a certain occasion. But if there is this ongoing, and and dancers will find voice and be able to dig deep into the culture. Like you can have Mother Sally as a starting point and really make a huge, like a whole ballet about Mother Sally, what that means.
Wow.
And really diversify the way and the language that you're saying. I mean, it's not that we need to do something different. No, I think we need to just dig deeper into what it means. Expand on it. Yeah. What does it mean to us today? Like, yeah, we've had these forms for years and it's important to preserve those, that way of expression, but then what else?
And I think this would also be so much more dynamic to then even showcase to anybody that's in our island and in our shore, because it's showcasing that complexity of the culture. So even speaking back to the overall topic of that tourism experience, you know, I think people want something authentic, but they also want something that's dynamic.
Yes.
And so in talking about those type of programs, I definitely agree. I think it would elevate and help us to
also another thing that just came to my mind, when we think about tourism, we are thinking about, you know, Caucasian, white persons, but or Asian or whatever, but also Africans are tourists here too.
Agreed.
And they want to see, you know, like anybody that is Black but of a different culture, they want to see how our cultures are so intertwined, are so similar, like the foods we eat have a different name, but they're still the same thing. The way how we move, like if you go anywhere and you see a Black person move, it just feels the same or similar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or anybody that is in Afro-Caribbean dance, because you've been in any dance that is Black dance. So if you go all around the world, I feel as though you connect more when you're more authentic. And so what I'm saying is that tourism doesn't only have to be for, you know,
well, it's for everyone. I think that's the word, and it's not just for a tourist as well, because there's in this expression, and going back to these type of programs that Valencia is talking about and I'm talking about, is that there's an immense benefit that we, the host, or we the persons that are a part of the product, that benefit as well, because we start to understand our own identity more. You know, and we start to like dig deeper, right?
Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, like human. I feel like if we go beyond just like thinking of it as entertainment, as a show, what is there? What's happening? It's a human connection.
Correct.
Okay, we with our audience, with each other, as people, as human beings, that take us. Yeah.
Awesome.
I feel like if we see ourselves as more similar than different, like what you're saying, Megan.
Yeah.
I feel then you can really diversify the expression and deepen it, make it more than just the superficial lights and, you know, glitz and glamour.
It's true.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I think we've got enough information. I love it. Valencia, is there anything else you want to contribute to the conversation before we leave?
I just want to say that just want to thank you for reaching out to me and including me in this conversation. You know, like last night when we were having a pre-conversation, it really, there's so many things that came up, and I love what you're doing with this show, and you and Chris, like these points that you're bringing up are so important. So I just want to commend you guys, and I would love this to just like be a starting point. Like there's so much more, you know, that we can like continue this conversation and broaden it. And I just can't wait to see what comes from it, you know, where it goes. Yeah. I'm really excited to just be in community and connection with you guys.
Awesome.
and the wider community in Barbados. So I miss y'all.
Oh, we miss you too. Hopefully once things ease up, you and your family can come down. But in the meantime, you know, we are so equally happy that you were able to take the time and share your experience, because as I've always said to you, I feel like I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders. Like each person has their own story to tell, and there's such a power in that story, and your story is very inspiring, and it really added value to the conversation here today. Thank you, Chris, for your help our viewers reimagine and rethink the way that we think about ourselves, our culture, our tourism product, and dance. Dance is just something, again, more than just a commodity.
Yeah, more than just a show.
Yeah, I can't wait to see. Yeah, there's so much potential in Barbados. I mean, like, what we can continue to do to advance, creative art in Barbados. Like, there's a lot. And I can't wait to work on it with you guys. I'm inspired.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much,
So,
Valencia.
enjoy.
What time is it there right
Okay,
now?
take care.
Probably
It's minutes to 9.
9.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you then.
Yeah. Okay, take care.
All right.
Okay,
Take care. Have
bye.
a great day.
Thanks
Bye.
for having me.
No,
You
of
too. Have a
course.
good day. Bye.
Bye. Wow, that's so much food for thought. I feel like it
know.
really just took the whole conversation full circle, and hearing it from 2 different perspectives.
Yes.
It really just
And you guys share the same sentiment.
yes.
But she didn't even know what you spoke about before,
Well, we've been
So-
friends for a long time, and I feel like we've had these opportunities to have these conversations more frequently. But again, this is the starting point, like she said. You know, it's by having these type of podcasts, these conversations on these different topics that explore the different aspects and elements of dance, on identity, on culture. And once you start with a conversation, then it can hopefully then segue into some sort of action or policy then being created.
Also, the reason we do this podcast as well for Vibe25 is to reach the mainstream world. Anybody that is not in the dance community, because we all share the same views. But a lot of people out there are not a part of the dance community, don't know about, thinking about dance and AI and all of these things.
Correct.
So it really opens your appetite to what dance can do for the community.
I agree.
So yeah, I really love this conversation. It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Before we end, one question. What do you think we should do going forward, like in terms of tourism, going forward, in anything?
Well, I mean, there's so many
The hotels are
things, but if I
shut
had
down
to-
right now, right?
Right.
And what if we open back? What is something new that we'd want to
Okay.
add to the...
So stage 1 for me would be we need to get in ready mode, which is we need to keep up with the training. We need to get the cross-cultural sensitization coming about. We need to reimagine and rethink about what we're offering and realizing how much more we have to offer, and not just stick to that traditional sense of sea, sand, and sun, as well as looking at that only the traditional markets such as the US, the UK, Canada are the only ones that we really want to come to our shores. So I think that's the first thing. So we need to have that type of training and discussion.
Yeah.
And then the thing is that when we open back up, it's about then making sure that everyone in Barbados, because at the end of the day, I think there's this whole concept that only tourism workers, only people directly in the field are the ones that need to be prepared for this industry or for something that exposes us internationally. But the reality is tourism is a platform that can segue into different international business ventures, investment, and trade, which is a really big part of what keeps our economy alive.
Yeah.
And I think that it's those type of soft skills we need to make sure that everyone has, so that we can learn to engage with people from all around the world, help to understand their different cultural contexts and nuances, so that way we can start to build more sustainable and long-lasting relationships. And of course, all of this should be done in like a very regenerative approach, because our people, and by extension our different resources, like our natural resources, are a big part of who we are, and we need to value it and take care of it.
Ooh, I love it, love it. Jams. So good. So many gems. Thank you so much, Christopher. You're a delight to listen to and to watch.
Same could be said here, Miss Michaels.
So thank you so much. I appreciate this conversation. And if you guys have any other anything you want to drop in the comments below about this entire discussion, feel free to give all of your information. If you know anybody that wants to contribute to the conversation as well in a monetary way, like in terms of doing funding and scholarships and teaching, we'll be happy to be open to anything new. So guys, thank you so much for watching Vibe25 podcast. And until next time, thank you. Thank you,
later.
Chris. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.